Gymnastics is often seen as graceful and controlled, but the truth is it's one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Behind the flips and perfect landings are moments of risk that most people never see. In this video, we're diving into 5 real stories where things went horribly wrong. These are the most disturbing gymnastics deaths ever recorded, stories that expose the deadly side of a sport built on perfection. It was May 1988 in Tokyo, Japan. Julissa Gomez, a 15-year-old gymnast from the United States, was preparing for the vault finals at the World Sports Fair. She had already made a name for herself in national competitions and was seen as a strong contender for the upcoming 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This was a major step in her rising career. Julissa was known for her focus and strong work ethic. She wasn't flashy or loud, but was always committed. Born on November 4, 1972 in San Antonio, Texas, Julissa was the daughter of Otilia and Ramiro Gomez, 2 former farm workers who had worked hard to give their children a better life. Her love for gymnastics began at age 5, and by 10 she was training under well-known coach Bela Karolya in Houston. She quickly rose through the ranks. In 1986, she placed 4th in the all-around at the U.S. Championships and earned a spot on the national team. By the next year, she was already competing internationally. Her best events were the uneven bars and balance beam, but it was the vault that became the focus of her career. In 1987, Julissa left Karolyi's gym, frustrated by his intense training style, and moved to train with Al Fong in Blue Springs, Missouri. Fong had a different approach, more patient and supportive, and he became an important figure in Julissa's life. As the 1988 Olympics approached, Julissa began working on the Yurchenko vault, one of the most difficult and dangerous skills in gymnastics. It required a round-off onto the springboard followed by a back handspring onto the vaulting horse. While she had natural talent, Julissa had trouble with this move. Her form wasn't consistent, and both her coaches and teammates noticed. Still, she was pushed to keep practicing and performing it in competition. On May 5, 1988, during warm-ups for the vault final in Tokyo, something went horribly wrong. As she ran toward the vault, her foot slipped. She lost control and slammed headfirst into the vaulting horse. The injury was immediate and serious. Julissa's neck was broken, and she was paralyzed from the neck down. Coach Fong, who had believed in her potential, watched in shock. He later questioned the pressure placed on young athletes to master such risky moves. Julissa was rushed to a hospital. Her parents flew from Texas to Japan to be by her side. Doctors tried to stabilize her, but her condition took a turn for the worse when she became disconnected from a breathing machine. The lack of oxygen caused severe brain damage, and she fell into a coma. Julissa remained in a catatonic state, only able to blink. Her injury was rare in gymnastics. Unlike common sprains or fractures, spinal injuries of this kind were almost unheard of. Her family continued to care for her for 3 years, but on August 8, 1991, she passed away at the age of 18 due to complications from her injury. Julissa's death shocked the gymnastics world and led to important safety changes. The International Gymnastics Federation made U-shaped springboard mats mandatory during competitions, not just in practice. These mats gave gymnasts more support and a safer landing area. The vaulting horse was also replaced by a larger, more stable vaulting table to prevent future accidents. A new rule was also added. Any gymnast performing the Yurchenko vault without proper safety mats would receive a score of 0. These changes were made directly in response to what happened to Julissa. Coach Fong later spoke about the dangers of the sport, saying gymnasts need to be aware of the risks but stay focused on their goals. Julissa's teammates honored her by dedicating their season to her. Her parents also shared a message encouraging young athletes to keep chasing their dreams, just like their daughter had. Julissa Gomez's life was full of potential. Her legacy lives on, not just in the safety changes that protect today's athletes, but in the memories of those who knew her and those inspired by her strength. It was July 3, 1980 in Minsk, just 2 weeks before the Moscow Olympics. Elena Mukina, a 20-year-old Soviet gymnast, was training at the Minsk Palace of Sport. This was supposed to be her time to shine, but what happened that day would change her life forever. Elena had already reached the top of her sport. In 1978, she won the all-around gold at the World Championships in Strasbourg, beating legends like Nadia Comaneci and Nelly Kim. Many believed she would lead the Soviet team at the upcoming Olympics, but behind the success was a harsh system that demanded perfection from its athletes, even when it risked their health. At the time, Elena was still healing from a broken leg that had sidelined her the year before. She needed rest, but her coaches didn't allow it. They removed her cast too soon and forced her to lose weight quickly. Despite the pain and weakness, she was pushed to train hard. She was also ordered to learn a risky tumbling move called the Thomas Salto. It was a difficult move originally meant for male gymnasts, and very few women had tried it. Elena told her coach Mikhail Klimenko that it was too dangerous. She warned them again and again that she could get seriously hurt, but her concerns were ignored. Her coach insisted that the move was necessary if she wanted to stay on the team. Elena, still injured and under pressure, felt trapped. If she didn't perform the move, she would likely lose her spot to someone else. So, on July 3, 1980, Elena attempted the Thomas Salto during a training session. She under-rotated and landed on her chin. The impact broke her neck and left her paralyzed from the neck down. Right after the accident, the Soviet sports officials tried to hide what really happened. They told the media that Elena had fallen off the balance beam or fallen while running toward the vault. In truth, she had fallen doing the Thomas Salto, the very move she had warned them about. The officials blamed Elena, saying she wasn't ready for such a move, but they ignored the fact that she was forced into it. A media campaign painted her as careless, when in fact she had done everything she could to avoid the injury. Later, Elena opened up about the pressure she faced. She said she had told her coaches many times that she might break her neck doing that move. It was going to happen, she said. I had already been injured several times, but they never listened. Elena would spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. The gymnast who once amazed the world now had to relearn how to eat, dress, and speak. She lived in constant pain, and her emotional health also declined. She withdrew from the world, cared for by her grandmother and later a former gymnast, Elena Gurina. In interviews, Elena criticized the Soviet system that treated athletes as tools for national pride. She believed that victories mattered more than human lives. Still, she felt that her coach was just another victim of that same system, someone following orders. Her injury deeply affected those around her. Nellie Kim, a teammate, said she was shocked. She questioned why Elena had been forced to do something she wasn't strong enough for. After seeing what happened, Kim decided to retire after the 1980 Olympics. Elena was later given awards like the Order of the Badge of Honor and the Silver Medal of the Olympic Order, but they did little to make up for her suffering. On December 22, 2006, Elena Mukina passed away at age 46 due to complications from her injury. Her story is one of talent, pressure, and a system that failed to protect its athletes. And though she's gone, the world of gymnastics still remembers. It was November 8, 2019 in Hamden, Connecticut. Melanie Coleman, a 20-year-old gymnast from Southern Connecticut State University, was practicing at the New Era Gymnastics facility. She was highly experienced with the uneven bars, an event she had trained on for years. But during what should have been a normal session, something unexpected happened. Melanie slipped and fell. The fall caused a serious spinal injury. Melanie had been involved in gymnastics her whole life. She was well known for her skill, discipline, and kind personality. She was not only an athlete, but also a nursing student, trying to follow the same path as her two older sisters. Earlier that year, she had been named a Scholastic All-American by the Women's Collegiate Gymnastics Association, an award that honored both her athletic and academic efforts. Her coach, Thomas Alberti, had worked with her for almost 10 years. He was one of the first to reach her after the fall. Others at the gym quickly helped as well, giving emergency care until paramedics arrived. Melanie was rushed to Yale New Haven Hospital, where doctors did all they could, but the injuries were too severe. On November 10th, just 2 days later, Melanie passed away. Her death shocked everyone, family, friends, teammates, and the gymnastics community as a whole. Accidents like this are extremely rare in the sport, especially for someone as skilled as Melanie. She wasn't only known for her talent, she was admired for her supportiveness and her kindness. She volunteered to teach young gymnasts, helping children from ages 2 to 15 at New Era Gymnastics. Many of them looked up to her. Melanie grew up in Milford, Connecticut. Gymnastics was part of her family life. Her mother and sisters had also competed, and one of her sisters had even been her teammate at Southern Connecticut. The Coleman family was close, and Melanie was seen as the heart of that bond. Her mother, Susan, said in an interview, "We spent every day together for the past 20 years. We're going to leave an empty space in our photos for her." Her accident was called a freak accident by those who knew her. It wasn't due to carelessness, bad equipment, or unsafe conditions. The gym where it happened had always been considered safe and trusted. Even Coach Alberti said he couldn't understand how such a tragic event could happen during a normal practice. He remembered her as a natural leader and someone who helped others without needing recognition. She didn't care about winning or scores, he said. She wanted everyone to succeed, not just herself. Former coach Jerry Nelson also spoke about her, calling her a true team player and a pleasure to coach. Melanie had always stood out, not just for her skills, but for her strong character. At Jonathan Law High School, she earned all-state honors, served as team captain, and was named Most Valuable Player. She had even competed in the USA Junior Olympics program. In college, she continued to earn recognition and respect. After her passing, the community came together in support. A GoFundMe campaign raised over $65,000 in just days to help the Coleman family with expenses. Melanie's family later shared that she had chosen to become an organ donor. Through this decision, she helped give others a second chance at life. Southern Connecticut's athletic director, Jay Moran, said, "Melanie was a bright student, an excellent athlete, and a beloved part of our community. Her loss has been devastating." Melanie Coleman's life ended far too soon, but the impact she made continues to be felt by her family, her teammates, her coaches, and the many young gymnasts who looked up to her. It was July 26, 1994, in Kansas City, Missouri. Christy Renee Henrich, a 22-year-old former U.S. national gymnast, passed away after a long struggle with severe health issues linked to disordered eating. Her body had become too weak to recover, and she died from multiple organ failure. Once one of the top gymnasts in the country, Christy's story would go on to expose the dangerous pressure placed on young athletes, especially female gymnasts. Born on July 18, 1972, Christy was known early on for her talent and dedication. At only 4 feet 10 inches tall, she was small but powerful. She started competing nationally by age 14. In 1986, she earned a spot on the U.S. national gymnastics team after finishing 5th in the junior division at the U.S. Nationals. By 1989, she was one of the most promising gymnasts in the country. That year, she competed at the World Championships in Stuttgart, Germany, where the U.S. team placed 4th. Christy nearly medaled on the uneven bars. But despite her strong performances, the pressure to look a certain way was already affecting her. In elite gymnastics, being small and thin is often seen as just as important as being skilled. Christy didn't fit the usual mold of the sport's ideal body type. The most damaging moment came at the 1988 World Championships in Budapest, Hungary. A judge told Christy she needed to lose weight if she wanted to make the Olympic team. At that time, she weighed about 95 pounds, already very light. That comment deeply affected her, leading to years of unhealthy behavior tied to her weight and body image. Christy began extreme dieting, eventually developing harmful habits that hurt both her body and mind. Her weight started dropping fast, but instead of backing away, she pushed herself harder to compete. Her health was declining, though it wasn't obvious to everyone at first. Her longtime coach, Al Fong, who had previously trained gymnast Julissa Gomez, noticed what was happening. In 1989, he confronted Christy about her dangerous eating habits and warned her about the risks. He arranged for her to meet with doctors and nutritionists, hoping to help her recover. But Christy, overwhelmed by the pressure to meet impossible standards, refused help. Her weight eventually fell to just 47 pounds. In 1990, she stopped competing and left elite gymnastics the following January. Her body could no longer handle the demands of the sport. Despite her health struggles, she remained determined and dreamed of returning to competition. Over the next few years, Christy saw many doctors, was hospitalized multiple times, and received psychiatric care, but nothing seemed to work. By 1994, her condition had worsened. She was admitted to Research Medical Center in Kansas City, weighing just 47 pounds. Her organs had begun shutting down. She spent more than 2 weeks in the hospital, surrounded by family, her fiancé, and friends. On July 26th, only 8 days after her 22nd birthday, Christy passed away. Her death shocked the gymnastics world and led to changes in how the sport approached health. Programs were launched to educate athletes about nutrition, mental health, and body image. Even television networks like NBC and ABC stopped mentioning gymnasts' weights during broadcasts. Christie's story led to serious conversations about the unrealistic demands placed on athletes. While those changes can't bring her back, they've helped create a safer environment for future gymnasts. Christy Henrik was a gifted athlete with a bright future. Her life ended far too soon, but her story made a lasting impact. Even today, her legacy continues to push for better care, awareness, and support for athletes across all sports. It was July 1998, during the Goodwill Games in New York City. 17-year-old Chinese gymnast Sang Lan was preparing for the vault, an event she had trained for her entire life. Just the year before, she had become China's national vault champion. With her talent and discipline, many believed she had a bright future ahead. During warm-ups, Sang was practicing a basic move called a timer vault. It's considered a low-risk move, meant to get gymnasts comfortable before competition. But something went wrong. Sang lost control midair and landed on her head. The impact caused a serious spinal cord injury. She was unable to move. Sang was immediately taken to Nassau University Medical Center. Doctors performed emergency spinal realignment and fusion surgery. But the damage was permanent. Sang was paralyzed from the chest down. In the years that followed, Sang would claim the fall was not just an accident. She said a coach from another team walked into the vault area during her warm-up and removed the safety mat just as she took off. This sudden change caused her to lose control. Sang tried to report what happened while she was still in the hospital, but officials dismissed her claims. They said she was confused due to possible brain trauma and didn't believe her account. Sang had once been one of China's top athletes. Now she was confined to a hospital bed, her career and independence gone. Her injury made international headlines. While recovering at Mount Sinai Hospital, she received support from well-known figures like Leonardo DiCaprio, Celine Dion, and Christopher Reeve. However, her private life became complicated. She was placed under the care of K.S. Liu and his wife Gina Hu Hung, a Chinese-American couple. They were supposed to support her through her recovery, but Sang later said they became overly controlling and limited her ability to speak about the incident. She claimed they made promises to cover her medical care and living expenses, but these promises were never kept. Instead, Sang said she was left without proper care. When Sang returned to China in 1999, the government praised her strength and used her story as a symbol of perseverance. But over time, she felt forgotten. She said the same organizations that once celebrated her were no longer offering support. Her condition worsened, and even with therapy, she could only do basic tasks like eating or using a computer. Her legs weakened further due to lack of movement. Still, Sang worked to build a public life. She became a television host, continued to speak publicly, and even carried the Olympic torch during the 2008 Beijing Olympics. But behind her public image, she remained frustrated by what she felt was injustice. In 2011, 13 years after her fall, Sang filed a lawsuit in the United States. It named several parties, including AOL Time Warner, USA Gymnastics, TIG Insurance, and Liu and Hu Hung. The lawsuit claimed that the accident was preventable and that those involved had failed to properly care for her afterward. She asked for $1.8 billion in damages, also accusing Liu and Hu Hung of trying to discredit her and control her life for their own benefit. Sang said they made harmful statements about her and tried to damage her reputation, including spreading false stories about her personal life. Most disturbing were the claims that someone in the household had acted inappropriately while she was in recovery. A police report was filed in relation to these claims. Public opinion was divided. Some people supported Sang, saying she was finally speaking out. Others accused her of being ungrateful or manipulated by outside influences. Still, Sang stood by her claims, saying it wasn't just about money. It was about getting the truth out and holding people responsible. By 2011, her legal battle was ongoing. Though many parts of the case faced delays due to legal time limits, Sang remained determined. Her story is one of strength, loss, and the long fight to be heard.